Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday. We're getting towards the weekend, we're getting closer to Arsenal's final game of the season against Everton on Sunday. I will be at London Colney tomorrow for Mikel Arteta's final press conference of the season, where he'll be previewing that match against Everton and no doubt reacting to what has been a very, very difficult week for Arsenal on the back of those back-to-back defeats against Tottenham and most recently Newcastle on Monday night. Still the slightest of chances of the Champions League, but I'm sure even if Mikel Arteta talks it up a little bit tomorrow, deep down he will know Arsenal's best chance has now gone, relying on that massive favour from Norwich, and then Arsenal also have to get the job done themselves against Everton. I will be at Colney, like I said, tomorrow, so I will try and do a video after that, the usual thing, looking about what Mikel had to say, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the summer and Arsenal's potential transfer plans. I did a story today. If you haven't read it yet, head over to my social media. You can find it. It's on goal.com as well, obviously, and you can find the link on my social media pages, looking at the summer and how missing out or potentially missing out on Europe, still not done yet, still not 100%, but potentially missing out on the Champions League will have an impact on Arsenal's plans for the summer. I'll talk about it a little bit here, but you can find it much more in depth in my in the story that is up on Goal at the moment, so please do head over and have a look at that. But in terms of how the sort of impact it's going to have, I mean, clearly it's going to have some sort of impact because Arsenal aren't going to have as much money as they would have done. But having said that, from people that you talk to at Arsenal, it's not the be-all and end-all. The Champions League not the be-all and end-all. When they started the season, they didn't really think they were going to get in the top four because of, well, they've finished 8th for the last 2 seasons. They're on a massive rebuild. They've chucked a load of players out, got a really young team in. There's no doubt 4th would have been seen as a massive boost at the start of the season. That's not what they were planning towards. It was all about sort of getting themselves back into Europe, finding that footing again, and then beginning to build. So Champions League would have been a little bit ahead of expectations. So the way Arsenal have been planning for this coming summer, it's not been so much about we're going to have the influx of Champions League money, because at the start of the season they weren't really expecting it, and the planning for this summer would have started before this season even began. So it's not the be-all and end-all. Arsenal, I still expect to be busy this summer, no doubt about it. They spent a lot of money last year, more than anyone else in the Premier League. They weren't in the Champions League then. I expect they're going to be busy again this year. They're going to have to be, because they've got an awful lot of stuff that needs to be sorted out in the squad. Strikers, we know about, Arsenal potentially looking at 2 forwards for the summer. It looks like Lacazette and Nketiah are going to go. I mean, Lacazette, I think, is absolutely certain. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't. Nketiah, I think Arsenal will try one more time to try and convince him to stay, but it's going to take a big change of stance in Nketiah. He very much wants to go and be number 1 somewhere, and good luck to him. But Arsenal are going to have to replace Lacazette, and bring in a couple of forwards. Gabriel Jesus is very, very much a target for Arsenal. Talks have been going on. We know that the agent even came out and said it publicly the other day. Now, obviously, not having Champions League football is going to be a bit of a blow with that, because the agent even said that 6 other clubs are in for Jesus. You would imagine some of those will be able to offer him Champions League football. But again, I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. He's got a very good relationship with Arteta. Arsenal are still going to try and push ahead and bring in Gabriel Jesus. It all depends if they can agree with deal Manchester City or not. Now, City potentially are not going to stand in Gabriel Jesus. Sorry, I keep saying Jesus, and I know lots of you have been saying it in the comments. It's Jesus. I'll get that right. Now City won't potentially stand in Jesus' way if he decides he wants to go, but they're not going to give him away for cheap, are they? Even though he's got 1 year left in his contract, he's young, he's important to them. Guardiola doesn't particularly want to lose him, so it's not going to be a case of Arsenal getting him for 30 million or something like that. They're going to have to still go pretty big, even with his contractual situation. So it all depends if a deal can be agreed with them, and then it's about convincing him to come. It's been going on for a long time, these talks, in terms of trying to convincing him to come, and he's not against it. We know that. Again, his agents even publicly stated that as well, that he finds it an interesting project. Him and Arteta are close. They've worked very well together when Arteta was at Manchester City. So I wouldn't rule that out. No Champions League doesn't mean they won't sign Jesus. Might make it a bit harder because of other clubs interested and the potential fee Manchester City will want, but not impossible. And it's the same goes for some of the other forwards that are looking at as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, yes, he's had a bad season for Everton. He's hit lots of injuries, hasn't scored many goals, but he's still a player that Arsenal have been looking at. He's still on their list. Champions League football is certainly not going to be the be all and end all for him. Tammy Abraham, might be a bit of a struggle. He's again a player that Arsenal are looking at. Very nearly got him last year, didn't. I wonder if lack of Champions League football might be an issue with him just because of the money it would cost to sign him from Roma. They're not going to give him away for cheap. He's had a fantastic season. He's only been in there a year. He's still got a long-term contract. He's happy. It would take big money to get Tammy Abraham, so I'm not sure if that will be doable or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Players like Darwin Núñez, who Arsenal absolutely would be interested in. Who wouldn't? He's a very good striker, and Arsenal need a striker. He would be on the list, but I think the lack of Champions League football for someone like him, that would make it very, very difficult just because of A, the money involved, and B, the other clubs that are going to be involved. There's going to be lots looking at Núñez, and they will be playing Champions League football. He's used to Champions League football as well. We haven't played it at Benfica, so I think that's the sort of one that might be a no-no. It probably was anyway beforehand, but I think it certainly would be about Champions League football. So those are the sort of things that will have an impact. But in terms of the overall, I don't really think so. Tielemans as well with a midfielder who Arsenal are certainly going to try and sign a midfielder, or they will sign a midfielder. Tielemans, it might have a bit of an impact with him because from what we understand, he is someone who wants to play Champions League football. He wants to make the next step. That's why he hasn't signed a new contract with Leicester City. He thinks he can go up and play Champions League football. Arsenal absolutely interested in Tielemans is something I reported a long time ago. It might be an issue with him because of again, the other clubs who will be interested in him. You would think at least some of those will be able to offer Champions League. So that might make a bit of an impact. Ruben Neves, another player that Arsenal want. But I just don't think everyone has to be totally distraught and depressed and think, right, we haven't got Champions League. That's going to make a massive impact on the summer. We're going to have to be shopping in the bargain basement. I don't think that is going to be the case. I still think Arsenal will try and pursue their targets, and they'll try and pursue them quite aggressively because, if they don't, then they're going to be left behind, and they don't want to be left behind. And Mikel Arteta is not the type of manager who will want the club to be left behind or will allow it even. He will put pressure on. Arsenal didn't sign anyone in January. They kept that money so they could strengthen in this summer. So I wouldn't be too disappointed at the lack of Champions League, focusing just on transfers. I think they will still be pretty busy and they will still go after targets that they would have gone after anyway, even though they are now probably going to be playing Europa League rather than Champions League. But like I said, you can go and read more about that on Goal, or you can find the link on my social media page because I've posted the story. It's gone up this morning. One player who maybe says future could potentially be up in the air, which to be honest, I don't think it is. But his brother has been talking about, Albert Sambi Lokonga. Mixed first season, I would say. I was impressed with him, very impressed first half of the season. I thought he did really, really well, especially as he was kind of thrown into the mix way ahead of schedule. Hadn't really settled or anything like that, but I thought he showed really good signs. He struggled in the second half of the season, mainly because he just wasn't really used, and every time he was played, he was kind of thrown in, he was cold. Some players are good at doing that. Some players aren't. I thought Sambi certainly struggled, and I also thought some of the positions that Mikel played him in, when he sort of threw him straight into the Thomas Partey role, holding the midfield completely on his own when he hadn't played for so long, it was a bit of a struggle. But I still think Sambi's a very, very good player, and from what I understand, everyone's really, really happy with him at Arsenal. He's been great behind the scenes. Everyone likes him at London Colney, his work ethic, everything like that. So I don't really think his future is up in the air, but his brother has been talking about it, and he said, we're not worried. Other players like Kevin De Bruyne or Romelu Lukaku have also taken time to establish themselves in the Premier League. The difference with the Belgian league is big, and Arsenal is not a mid-table club. We would have signed with both hands for a season with 33% of playing time. Albert is improving every day, especially in training. Competition is tough with boys like Partey, Xhaka and Elneny, and the coach must respect a certain hierarchy. He has so much talent, sometimes it's easier for him. Maybe the coach expects more for him. He should rest on his abilities. Maybe he needs to show that. But I'm not worried, and neither is he. Leaving Arsenal, it's out of the question, at least for him. Interesting comments, I thought there, and very truthful comments as well. Like I said, I think Sambi's had a very good first season, certainly a very good first half of the season. Yes, he struggled a bit after that, but he showed signs that he's a very good player. You could see why Arsenal was so interested in bringing him over to the club, and he's still so young. He'd only been playing senior football for a couple of seasons, and then suddenly he just signed by Arsenal, thrown into it, having come out of the Belgian league. It's just going to take a long time. You can't write players off, especially young players, after a season. I think what we all saw from Sambi at the start of the season, everyone was more than happy with him. You kind of go into this summer with maybe people thinking, oh, he's not that great, just because of recent performances, but I think you've got to provide a little bit of context with it when you're talking about players like Sambi and why maybe he's struggled of late. And that's the reasons I gave at the start of this when I first started talking about him. So I'm glad his brother's come out. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Sambi develops over the next couple of years. I think Arsenal have got a really good, talented player on their hands there. And as his brother says, he's going absolutely nowhere. I'm sure you've seen it by now. If you haven't, Arsenal's new kit has been launched. It is on sale now. Launched today. If you buy it via Arsenal Direct, £5 of every sale goes to the Arsenal Foundation, which goes around sort of helping local initiatives in the local borough around Islington. The video is great. It's got like Saka, Leah Williamson, Emil Smith-Rowe, Granit Xhaka, all going out into the community. I think Saka's with the Islington Bowls Club. Leah Williamson's gone to Islington Boxing Club, things like that. It's a really good video, and it's a really good initiative as well. I think the kit is pretty smart, I have to say. Love the collar. Real flashback to the mid-90s and those night kits that Ian Wright used to wear. So yeah, really smart. If you want to get it, then buy it. And yeah, it's a good kit. And one thing that did come out of that kit launch as well is that Gabriel Martinelli has switched numbers. Arsenal have a new number 11, and it is their Brazilian winger. Certainly fits the number, I'd say, with someone like Martinelli and his position. Some people might have a bit of an issue with it. The fact of what's he done? Does he really deserve number 11 like last year? Does Smith-Rowe really deserve number 10? It's the way Arsenal go in, and fair play. I've got no issue with Martinelli. I quite like the idea of Martinelli 11, I have to say. So congratulations to him. Before I go, just on contracts as well, in terms of Arsenal not qualifying for the Champions League, I started this video by talking about potential transfers. I think where Arsenal might have more of an issue this summer with the lack of Champions League football is contracts. And certainly when it comes to one particular contract, the big contract, the one we all know about, Bukayo Saka. 2 years left on his deal. Arsenal are going to have to be in deep negotiations with him this summer. You would expect that is the plan, that they will begin. And when you look at the lack of Champions League football, I think the most difficult thing then is getting Saka to renew. I think, I'm not saying it's impossible or anything like that, far from it, but when you've got a player like Saka who's so good, so talented, and so many clubs are going to be after him. Make no mistake, at the moment, 2 years left on his contract, his agent will be fielding call after call after call, finding out what Saka's position is. Is he going to sign? Are talks going on? All that sort of stuff. And if Arsenal are in the Champions League, it would be so much easier to go into these talks. Same with Martinelli, actually. He's in the same position. Talks will have to happen with him. And so that out of all of it, I would say this is my biggest worry, and is getting some of the best young talented players to sign up to new contracts about Champions League football. I've spoken about it in the past, how the Hale End emotional tie, it's fantastic, it's brilliant. Players really feel it. You can't deny it. Saka, Smith-Rowe, you can see that connection because they've come through at the club. But, and it's a big but, that can only last for so long. We've seen it in other clubs. Wayne Rooney, when he came through at Everton, once a blue, always a blue, all that stuff. Within a couple of years, once Manchester United came knocking, he was off, because you've got to live up to the ambition of these players. You can only rely on the emotional tie for so long, and we've seen it so many times with players. Like I said, Wayne Rooney, the perfect example there, is eventually, and especially if they're as good as likes of Rooney was and Saka is now, ambition very quickly takes over that emotional tie, and you've got to be able to show you can match that ambition. And Arsenal getting into the Champions League would have been fantastic for that ahead of these contract talks with Bukayo Saka. Now, hopefully he's still going to sign. He's still going to absolutely believe in a project. He knows he's still very young. He's going to be playing week in, week out at Arsenal. If he went to a Liverpool, say, or Manchester City, would he be playing week in, week out there? No, not right now. He'd probably be in the system, rotating and all that stuff. I absolutely think he could. He's good enough, but he would have to rotate. He knows where he is at Arsenal right now. He's got a manager who trusts him. He's got a fan base that loves him. It is his club. So hopefully that will mean that he can sign this contract when the talks begin during the summer. But I do think out of all of the potential impacts of missing out on the Champions League, the biggest one could well be these contract talks. It's certainly not going to make it easier, put it that way, but fingers crossed, hopefully it will all still be sorted. Saka will sign long term, and we can all sort of rest easy a little bit, because one player Arsenal do not want to lose is Bukayo Saka. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time as always. I'll be back hopefully from London Colney tomorrow with my next video looking ahead to the Everton game and reacting to what Mikel Arteta had to say. Thanks for watching.